just to wake you up, to make sure that you will be at your best in the moment when you will take the final break. And I'm aware you're already tired and it's late in the afternoon. So with this topic, I will try to take you a little bit out of your comfort zone for today, because we heard really very, very interesting presentations, and I learned a lot from what I heard today. And as my background is also partially in finance, as I teach money and banking at the university for many years, but today, and we work with many companies, with banks and fintechs, but today I will try to move away a little bit and take you on a journey where we will look at things maybe from a different angle. So you will probably ask yourself, why design thinking in a conference about payment? We are not designers. This is more for creatives. So my role is first to convince you why we should talk more about design thinking, and then what is actually design thinking, and to challenge you with maybe 1 or 2 examples. I prepared 3, but I don't think we will have time for 3, but we will see how it goes. So you already know that we are facing a society that is quickly changing, and I think in the last 2 weeks that accelerated. So everything is changing so fast that it's even hard to know where we are, and it's increasingly complex. In the past, we were competing mainly with people from our countries or our neighborhoods, maybe 50, 80 years ago, and now we are competing with everyone, and it's a high level of complexity, and competition and speed are simply going up. And in this graph, which maybe looks a bit messy because I work on a keynote, not on PowerPoint, so sorry. In the export phase, some things might have got messed up a little bit. But this graph shows us how long it took to various products or service to reach 50 million users. And if we look at the first line, the airlines, it took them 64 years to reach 50 million users. If we look at, for example, the electricity, it took them 28 years. Let's take the examples from your industry. Credit cards, actually credit cards is 28 years. ATMs, just 18 years, and they reached 50 million users. But if we go down, then the internet, just 7 years, 50 million users. And the last one, Pokemon Go. Anyone remember this? I will not share my opinion about this game. It's not important what I think. But it took them only 19 days to reach 50 million users. That's both scary, but also exciting. Why is it exciting? Because it shows that if you are really good at finding something that people would like to buy, then you can actually explode within days, not years. But it's also scary, because if you don't do it, someone else probably will do it. So the chance of someone else disrupting our business is bigger now than ever. And you've seen that in this industry with the fintechs disrupting the traditional banks in the last years. And no matter if you like it or not, that's a reality. And what's coming will be even more disruptive. So just sitting and thinking, okay, we are big enough to face all the challenges, it's not an option anymore. So this graph actually shows us that if we are really good, we will be able to create the next great product or service. And by the time, actually, I built this graph 2 years ago, and I already had to change it in the year after, because now we have, for example, ChatGPT, they reached 100 million users in just 2 months, and then we had Threads that reached 100 million users in just 1 week. So it's already scary. And that's a kind of scary and inspiring perspective. Wow, if we learn some tools or ways of thinking that will help us to be more innovative, then we will make it. Because the truth is, people tend to believe that, well, innovation is only for creatives. You need to be Steve Jobs, you need to be an Einstein, whoever. I'm not a person that will be able to innovate. That's what most of the people think. And that's not true. I don't have now time to convince you, but we can discuss more on the break. But it's truly innovation. It's made based on some tools and methods and mindset that everyone can learn. Absolutely everyone can learn. So that's the encouraging perspective. The other perspective, still in our world today, is that there are so many bad experiences around us. Can you recall any moment when you went to a restaurant and either the menu was not clear enough for you to understand, or maybe the atmosphere was not good, or maybe the waiters were not paying attention to you? Anyone can recall any moment? Yeah, well, I think that, yeah, waiters, I think they have a special training. When they hire them, they train them on how not to look to customers. It's like the rule number one, always walk with your head turned. You know, when you see a customer, immediately turn your head. Or maybe you're queuing at the reception of a hotel and you have 5 people in front of you, you're in a hurry, there are 3 clerks at the desk, only one is serving the customer, the other 2 are busy doing something else, and you're like starting to, to give some non-verbal clues that, hey, I'm here, I'm in a hurry, nobody cares. So I see some people nodding. Or you enter a website, no matter which kind of website, and it takes you 10 clicks to find that thing that you thought, well, that should be obvious, should be on the front page, and still you had to dig to get there. Or in your organizations, if you're a big organization, for example, a bank, maybe moments when you needed support from your colleagues in HR or your colleagues in finance, and you feel like, oh God, these guys, instead of helping me, they are actually blocking us. They are only creating problems for us, right? So there are so many bad services, and if we should move forward to your industry, I will not even spend more time here because I heard so many stories today about users that want payments to be instant, but they take sometimes 5 days, or the onboarding on different platforms is so difficult, or the checkout. You want to pay, and then you don't know, did I pay? I didn't. The internet went down, and I don't know exactly if the payment was processed or not, and the interface is not able to share with me the stories. I'm not even mentioning the experience with the call centers, right? Call the call center of a bank and then enjoy the rest of the day. You'll see how it feels. Now, the logical question, because we see so much technology, innovation, everything moving forward, but at the same time, there are so many bad services around us. And the logical question is, why do bad things happen to good people? Because we are good people, we want to have good services. Why are so many bad things happening to us every day, annoying us? And it's not because the providers of those services are bad people or because they want to annoy you, because I don't know any owner of a restaurant in this world who's starting a business to provide a miserable service, to go bankrupt. There's no such thing as a, owner of a restaurant, hotel, fintech who says, I will open a company and I will do the biggest bankruptcy in the history. You know, my clients, they will be so miserable. Everyone will be annoyed. I will totally, destroy this business. No, everyone wants to be successful. And still, if you look around, there are so many bad services. There are so many things that are not in the way we would like them to have. So this is the reason, actually, why we need design thinking, because it's a methodology, a set of tools, but mainly a mindset that helps us to shift the perspective. Because what we tend to do is what we call in design thinking the inside-out way of thinking. We look at things in the way we would like them to work. But we are business professionals in that field. We know much more than the regular user. So actually, our experience, it's not relatable to everyone else's experiences. And I heard today many talks about technology and innovation related to technology. And there's another thing, because of course we need the technology, but we tend our day to believe that innovation equals technology. Technology, it's a mean to an end, but it's not innovation, it's not equal technology. And I see that a lot in organizations, is this, competition of bringing AI as fast as possible to improve our processes, and we need AI, of course, but if you bring AI into a process that is bad, it's not making it better, it's just faster. It's still a bad service, a bad process, but it's faster. So we need to take more of the user's lenses. We have to understand exactly what people. We have to go, before putting technology, we have to look at the people experiences and to understand the needs and the unmet needs. Because innovation, actually, it's the sweet spot of innovation is where you find an unmet need at your customers, and you're able to come up in a creative way with a product or service that responds to that need. So to make this very explicit, I will challenge you with this example. So this is typical how printed boarding card would look like. And that's the typical example of inside-out way of thinking. Because you have all these numbers and codes that you will never, ever need as a user. So this boarding card is just making your experience more difficult. You're in a hurry, you need to get into your flight, and then you start to see all those numbers. So, the IATA BCBP code and the I don't know what other reference numbers. And you're like, oh, just let me know what time my flight is and what's the gate. I don't need anything else. But this boarding card was designed by the employees of the airline to make their own life easy, because they need all this information, but you don't need them. And actually for them could be easy if they would put everything into the barcode, because they have this possibility. They simply don't use it because they don't want to take your lenses. And to make it really simple, this is how a boarding card should look like. And our days more and more are getting closer, but I haven't yet seen a really good one. So I need to know where I depart, where I need to arrive, boarding time, my seat, and so on. And our days with the still there is an important information missing. I will challenge you with that in a sec. But we have these digital ones, which are a bit, more simple, clear. They have some extra features. For example, you see there you have the temperature at the arrival, and maybe the time difference. But there is still an important information that is missing on all of this. Anyone could guess? Well, what else? When you're about to board the airplane and you look at the boarding card, is there any information that you might need, but it's not there? The time of the gate is closed, that's important. And the time when you arrive, right? The time when you arrive. I always need to know, because maybe someone has to pick me up, or I need to organize everything. And I have to go into my emails or in the app of the airline. And this is simply because people who are designing services in the organization, they don't look to the end-to-end journey of the customer. If I'm in charge with the boarding card, it means I'm in charge with what happens before departure. But that's not true. The user is just one person. They need to know when they depart. They would like to know the time when they arrive, right? So this is part of the silos way of thinking we have in organization, and the fact that even when we want to design good services, we only take pieces of the whole, but the customer is a whole. So just to make it in a very simple comparison, what the inside out versus outside in way of thinking means is, I would display these two boarding cards. Some time ago, a few years ago, when people were not so much into the rush like today, we had 5-day boot camps to teach people how to use design thinking to design better services. And now, our days, 5 days, that's impossible. Let's do it in 2 days. And then, can you do it in 1 day? Or maybe can we do it in 1 hour, or maybe in 20 minutes? So I challenge myself, what if one day someone will challenge me, explain me design thinking in one slide, just one bullet, that's all you have. And I thought which one I would choose. And actually my answer to myself was this one. So what is design thinking? It's a methodology, it's a set of tools. I can explain much more, but it's something that helps me design the second boarding card instead of the first one. So designing a product or a service that really makes the user experience easy, and it's not costing more, it actually would cost less. In most of the cases, in our experience in projects, it's actually costing less if you do the right things. And also, it really resonates with the needs of your end users. So that's the mindset that we have in design thinking. And if you should be now honest to yourself, you can ask yourself this question. The service that I provide in this moment, my company, my bank, my fintech, does it look more like the second boarding card or the first one? And probably the answer is in between, somewhere closer to one or to the other. But we always have a chance to do more, and because again, the main bias is that we are professionals of our industry, so we know stuff in our industry. So it's really hard to see how ignorant the end user is and to make things really easy for them. Now, this is one of course, the classical example of the difference. Yeah, Dom is showing me a boarding card. So this is another classical example on the difference between design and user experience. And this is you can see them everywhere in the world, right? And they are designed, these pathways are designed by architects. And architects are smart people. So they go 6 years at the university to learn how to design. They're really smart people. But still, they would like to do the pathways in the way they would like to look, not the way that the user does. And the user, and that's in all the industries the same, users like to use shortcuts. So it's in the human nature. We are lazy by nature, right? We want to make things easy for ourselves. So we will always take shortcuts. So if we try to force the user to fit into your pattern, they will naturally go in different directions. So it's always easier to design based on their experience. And it's, again, an example that is not costing more, it's even costing less. Now, what is design thinking in a nutshell? Image is missing somehow, I don't know. Just give me a second. Yeah, well, there was an image there, but it doesn't matter. And so there was a glass, and here is the service. So again, the logical question is why? Why we have still so many bad services? And this is simply because, historically speaking, there was not such a discipline or science to teach people how to design a good service. Might sound funny, but that's the truth. So back in time, for decades, we had it at the university, a discipline called product design, where you go, you study, and you become a product designer. But nobody taught people how to design a service end-to-end. So everyone did it their way. Companies developed their own way to do it. Or most of the entrepreneurs, they did it empirically. And about 15 years ago at Stanford University, actually, they created this new discipline called service design, which is actually a methodology that teaches you end-to-end how to design a good service. Well, they brought some science into this empirical way of doing things. And design thinking is simply the set of tools that we use for service design, so it's not more than that. And you can find on internet many definitions, but this is the one I like more. Design thinking, it's a process, but it's more than a process, it's the mindset, it's this outside-in mindset that teaches us how to build more human-centered solutions, even using technology, but for humans, and in a more creative way, like solving all kinds of challenges. And challenges could be, and I will just show you the backbone of this methodology, the way it actually works. So you can tackle, we always start from a challenge, a real challenge. It could be how to increase the number of users on our platform, or how to improve a certain product, or how to increase our sales, or how to fix a problem that we have in our platform. And then you have this first diamond, which is the problem space. So we really dig into deep to understand, to properly understand the problem of our users, because quite often the quality of the research we do, it's flow, and we think we understand, but either we don't ask the right questions, or we don't draw the right conclusions. So we jump into solution space, and we spend most of the time in solution space without properly understanding the problem we are trying to solve. And of course, this has a set of tools. So we start by research, by discovering the problem in depth, and then we extract quality out of the data, and we build personas. Personas are category of end users, which are used also in the classical market research. And I heard many of you talking today about segments. So the only difference design thinking brings in the research is that we don't build personas in the way segments are built around demographics. We build them around attitudes and behaviors. So these are the most important triggers for innovation. And then we design the user journeys, we identify pain points, and we go into a very creative mode where we have a set of tools that support even people that think they are not innovative to innovate, and we end up with a prototype that is tested. Okay, so I think my time is up, or almost, but I just want to show you at least one of these examples and to challenge you why this is so important. But before that, a research that was run by my colleagues in Design Thinkers Academy in New Zealand on the percentage of people that are employed in the 4 different areas of the double diamond. So the first one being discovery, research. The second one was define, like extracting quality the data of the research and really understanding who you serve and what problem you want to solve. And then the third is developing solutions, and the fourth is deliver. And they discovered that we have only 2% of people working in discover, 3% in define, 66% in develop, and 28% in deliver, which explains why we have so many bad services and so many problems, because actually we spend a lot of time and energy solving problems that we don't properly understand, or we don't understand in depth. So if we would change that a little bit, it will make a big difference. Now, you can use it for improvement of the customer experience, for employee experience, for branding, because you understand better what kind of personas you want to attract in your organization. But I want to challenge you with a case, and actually I have also a case from banking here, but first I want to take you outside of your comfort zone, because of course in our industry we tend to think we know how things are. So this is a real case that happened in the Netherlands in a care home for elderly people, right? So imagine you are the team, so you here in the room, you are the team that was invited to improve the experience of the residents in a care home. So they are elderly people, and it's Netherlands. They are, most of them, quite wealthy, so it's not a problem of money. They can pay more money for better service. So, and you don't have time, so your manager says, as usually happens, I need a solution by tomorrow. You don't have time to go talk to people, just, you're smart, this is why I pay you, just give me a solution. So what would you do to improve the experience of these elderly people in the care home? So you have the money. What would you do? What services or extra features would you bring for them? Bring children to talk to them. That's a beautiful idea. What else? There's no wrong answer. Theater, right? Entertainment, keep them busy. They want to be busy. You would also say, yeah, but your manager says, this is why I pay you. You don't go and ask, just come with the solution. Good. Well, that's a good approach, right? So any other solution? Yeah. Gaming, yeah, giving them, and I heard all possible answers, from giving them better food, more entertainment, games, activities, socializing, even AI assistant, give them an AI, better medical care. Well, the thing is, what the gentleman there said, they said, let's step back and go and talk to them. We don't look at the data, we go and talk to them. An interview, in-depth interview, to understand the unmet needs, what they actually need, what is the real need behind. And what they discovered was that, well, they were quite happy with the entertainment, they had good social relationship, the food was good. But what they said was, and it was very important, the questionnaire was designed for the interviews so that they were asked what they do and how they feel and what they need in every moment of the day, from the very beginning in the morning where they wake up until the night, so the whole end-to-end journey. And what they discovered, so is that these people said, everything is nice, but in the evening, when I go back to my room, I have to, and I socialize the whole day. It was even better than at home, because at home I would be alone. Here I have friends. But in the evening, when I go back to my room, first I go on a long hallway with all doors looking alike, orange doors, because it's Netherlands. And first, I always get the wrong door. I just jump into someone else's room because I'm confused. Well, all elderly people, they also have dementia. And I said, I'm so embarrassed every time. Like, I really feel bad because I'm confused. I don't know which room I should go to. And second, I have that feeling of going into an empty, strange room that does not belong to me, so I'm not home. So then they gathered, and we used some creative tools to come up with a solution that it's different than everything else. And the solution was brilliant and very simple and very cost-effective. They sent a photographer to the homes of these people to take pictures of their real doors, and they built some giant stickers, and they stick them on the doors. So this is really when they were doing this work. And this is the result. So this is how the doors looked before, and this is how they looked after. So they were literally their own doors. You can see here even the graffiti on this gentleman's door. So the result was amazing, and the cost was 15 euros per door. 15, not 50, 15 euros per door. That was the cost of the sticker. These people, they said, first of all, I cannot miss my door because I recognize it is the door of my home, right? So it's easy to recognize. But second, they said, that feeling of in the evening of going home, because you go and you open the door of your own home. So I don't feel lonely anymore. Now looking at this, looks so simple. You think, oh, all the residents' homes in the world should have that. I mean, it's basic, it's simple, and still no one else has done it yet. And the reason why they managed to come up with this solution is that they step back and they try to understand what's the problem we are trying to solve. So going back to the double diamond. So we have to improve the experience. Oh, we are all smart people, but we are not elderly yet. So we are not into those shoes. We don't understand the world as they do. So, and the most knowledgeable person when it comes to, innovate, the most knowledgeable person, it's not us, it's the end user. But they don't have the solution. They know the need. They know the problem. So if you, because in terms of, and that's another, I'm just jumping from one thing to the other, but one of the common mistakes I see in organizations is that you go and talk to end users about solutions. How would you like this feature to be? Well, they are not the people to tell you the solution because they are limited to what they know already. But they are the best people to tell you the problem because they are very knowledgeable about the problem, right? So now I will close because I think I'm running out of time. I wish I had more time to show you some more examples. Just 2 slides with an example from banking. To underline how important it is to go talk to people and understand their needs and attitudes and be able to build good personas, like good understanding of the categories of users you are serving. So this is a project we did in Romania with OTP Bank. And it was a project about understanding who are actually the customers of the bank today and how much they represent in the banking population in Romania. We even developed a tool for that to be able to measure. But the very first step was doing qualitative interviews. And we always recommend start with qual before quant, because if you go quantitatively, you will ask questions that are maybe not the best ones. I'm the kind of person that replies all the surveys that I receive because I believe in quality of services. So if I fly with an airline, tomorrow I receive a survey, I answer. After booking a hotel, I answer. After the bank sending me surveys, I answer. And every time I finish to fill in a survey, I have the feeling they don't have a clue about my experience. They haven't learned anything. They asked me what they wanted to know, but they didn't ask me things that would have brought them value. So how can we overcome that? We always start qualitatively first. So we go and do in-depth interviews. And preferably we go to people's homes or where they work. We try to understand the environment. We encourage stories. And then when we go quantitatively to validate, we know what questions to ask, because maybe I learned from Dom something I wouldn't have even thought of asking him in a survey, but because he told me that, I want to validate, is Chris feeling the same, or maybe he's an extreme user? And then quantitative helps me, and big data today helps us a lot, but only if the input it's qualitative. If we garbage in, garbage out, we know how it sounds. Now, what came out from this project where we actually did 1,000 interviews, and then we quantitatively surveyed 800 customers. Well, we came up with a number of personas, and we had 2 phases in the project. So first we had those, you see that little circle with the dots. Those are personas that were added later on after the quantitative part of the survey. So initially, we discovered this, I think there were 12, if I'm not wrong. Or no, there were 9, and we ended up with 12. And we had 2 criteria that were set by the bank. One was receptivity to the bank, and the other one I cannot disclose. It's part of our confidentiality agreement. So we were putting all these personas based on these 2 criteria, and then we did the quantitative research, and we added 3 more because we discovered there were slightly differences. And I will take the example of this one, Christina, and I will show you how a good persona card looks like that really helps you understand who's your customer. So let's meet Christina. Christina is a lady that lives in a city, so it's in an urban area, and you have all sorts of demographics about her. But as I said, demographics are not the most important things for us. And then we have some criteria which were secret. Well, we cannot disclose, of course. And then we have reasons for considering the bank, intention to churn, all the information channels, how she gets the information, so we can see 90% from bank employees. She's the kind of person that goes to talk with people in the branches. And then we know even what kind of trading her trader profile, and in the and the incidence of megabytes usage, and all the social platform that she's using and what percentage. So once we clarify this, we will be able to target her very, very well. But the most important information about Christina is not even in this first part of the boarding of the persona card. I just had to divide it into 2 slides to be more visible. Is this part where we tried to understand what pain points she has, what are her actual needs, and then the way she interacts with the bank and the criteria she has when she's selecting a bank. So we learned about her because she likes the digital because saves times and speeding granting loans, but actually she needs preferential products, she needs empathy, she needs time saving and efficiency, and her interaction, it's a mix of personal relationship and digital and so on. And based on this, and we also measured, and she was, if I'm right, yeah, she was 11% of the Romanian banking population representing. After designing these 12 personas, the next step was for the bank to make a decision, and they couldn't focus on 12 personas at the same time, so they picked 4. 2 of them because they were, in terms of percentage, very representative for the population. 1 because it was an extreme user that was particularly interesting for them, and 1 because it just fitted some of the priorities of the bank in that moment. And then, of course, we designed some services that one of them was quite innovative. Okay, so I had another example, but maybe we will have a chat during the drinks, because I know I'm running out of time now. The point I want to make is that even innovation might sound complicated, difficult, challenging. Oh, there are dedicated people in an irony tower that innovate. Actually, it's something that everyone can do, and I showed you in the example with the doors. So the most important things, you know, leaving aside tools like personas, customer journey maps, and all the tools we use in design thinking, the most important thing is the mindset. Like stepping back, understanding that we don't design for us, and that we are so knowledgeable about our industry that this becomes an enemy quite often, because it's literally difficult to see the world through the lenses of people who are simple users, like ignorant users that need things to be easy. And people nowadays, more than ever, because of the speed, they need things to be easy to use, and they need more things on the same platform. That's one of the trends. And we have 2 products in the history that made that better than anyone. The Swiss knife, right? Why it was so successful? Because there were more tools in one. And the smartphone, which today, if we look at your smartphone, I think the least used function is phone. I mean, you don't make many phone calls. Sometimes even for that you use WhatsApp or other platforms. So the phone, it's everything you need. It's a gadget. It's something that solves all possible problems in one place. So probably in the future, in innovation, that will be a common space, like putting more things in a platform. And I heard you talking about collaboration. I also think that collaboration will be stronger than competition in the upcoming years. So I wish you luck with your projects. Be brave, because innovation now, it's a commodity. Everyone can do it, and you just need to learn some basic things, but mainly to have the right mindset. It's not about us, it's about the people we design for, so it should be the second boarding card.